Welcome to the Racing Nuggets podcast. I'm PJ Noodleman, joined by my co-host from the Midwest Racing Connection, Mr. Dan Plan. Hello, Dan.
Hello.
I am pretty excited to have this guy on our podcast. You've probably heard him quite a bit. He's been actively involved in a lot of different racetracks, currently retired, but still kind of keeping his fingers involved in racing as well. Please welcome from the legendary Deery family of racing. It is Jack Deery. Hi, Jack.
Hi, PJ. Hi, Dan. How are we doing today?
We are so happy to have you here. Obviously, the news of Rockford Speedway closing has kind of brought a lot of nostalgia to people's hearts. And you were one of the first people that popped into my head to get onto the podcast. You are the third of 8 children of Hugh and Jody Deery. So you probably...
I always tell myself I'm the only child. Look I have hair. Chuck doesn't have any hair. So, where he came in off the bus somewhere, but no, I am the third oldest, unfortunately.
You are. So, were you the first of the children that actually really got involved at the track, even beyond childhood?
No, actually, my oldest brother Gunnar, who is now a doctor, he was the oldest. So he started working there. I think it was like 1959 when my dad started working there, and Gunnar kind of moved right into the popcorn. He didn't get to do our first job. I think most of us is when we were like 8 or 9. We ran the lineups from the starter down to or from the announcer down to the starter. So that was our first job, and then we moved on from that. But everybody in my family, all the kids, we all went to a Catholic high school, and they was at a tuition. We paid our own tuition by money we earned at the racetrack. So they put us to work. We always said it was kind of like slave labor, the Irish Catholics, but what can you say? So, but we all worked at the racetrack.
And it actually probably prepared you all better for life than most traditional routes.
I learned a lot there, and not only the learning how to the value of a hard day of work and your benefits from that, but dealing with people. You even from rolling hot dogs, selling stuff in the grandstands to being the promoter, you deal with all types of angers. Unfortunately, when I was there, we had a couple of fatalities. So, I mean, from the very low to the greatest highs, we got to see it all. So, yeah, it really formed us on how we are. And we all kind of act alike in a way. So,
yeah, I've noticed that with the few of you that I know.
Wait a minute, Dan, you were going to say something there.
Well, I was going to say, I think a lot of people don't realize, even to this day, that running a short track isn't just a Saturday night job. It's a full-time, all-week gig.
And you're really right. And that was part of our closing. A lot of people don't understand. The kids sold out, mom died, and the kids sold out. It wasn't like that at all, really. And the COVID had a part to do with this. And, our Forest Hills Lodge, it was a dream of my father's that, what Dan just said, it's not a full-time year with the racing back then. So we built this lodge so we could do that and stuff. I personally think over the years, the racing became more of a 12-month sport because, we used to go to Daytona, come back and throw the schedule together, and we're ready to go. Now it's your schedule's put together in October, you're selling sponsorships for the following year right away. So it was never the Florida break was kind of a breath before you jumped into it 7 days a week. But it was at one time, it was a part-time job, and with 8 kids, thank God we had that, I guess. So.
Well, yeah, I think that having the 8 kids probably made it a little easier to operate as you all got a little older. Well, what was your favorite role doing at the track? Even as an adult, I mean, what is your favorite part of it?
I could tell you my most unfavorite. I just did something on my screen. Was I'm not an announcer, and I announced one night, and it was a Wednesday night. It was a figure 8 race, and I couldn't even watch figure 8. So when I had to use the microphone with it, I might have slipped out a couple words I shouldn't have used or whatever. I never liked announcing, but I drove the pace car for many years. That was fun. We took rides all the time, riders. That was a lot of fun. But every bit of it was. I'm still a big part of the popcorn making there. It's our Make America or Make Popcorn Great Again tour this year. It's the final lap tour for it. So when I go back, I'll sell tickets and make popcorn, and I enjoy dealing with the people coming in. It's thanks for coming, have fun. That's how it should be.
What is that going to be like for you? Have you really thought a lot about that? What it's going to be like with this being the final season at your family's livelihood?
At night when it's dark and I'm sitting on the porch here, I get there's a soft spot in me that goes, this is going to hurt, and it does hurt, but it's it's nothing lasts forever, and it's time to move on, and but I'm going to enjoy every bit of it instead of being the doom and gloom. It's doom and gloom, but I'm excited about it too. I got people I haven't seen for years, and Billy Venturini called the other day. Stuff coming out of the woodworks that should be exciting. Just, a couple of years ago, we ran the dirt race. We had the World Outlaws there, and that was an event that had never happened. And how many people came out of the woodworks to see that? Because it was the first time ever, last time ever, really now. But that was a had to be there type event. And I think every Saturday night is going to be there type of event.
I would agree with that. I've heard of a lot of racers that are trying to put something together to get back to the track. So if there ever was a way to go out in true Deery fashion, I think this season is definitely going to be it.
Well, we've been primed for many years on how to do this. But what you said about the drivers, that's, you think back to some of the racers that started there. I'm watching the races last night, and I can remember Ryan Blaney racing. We did a little car nationals one time, and just how some of these, Carl Edwards was there for that too. So to see these guys last night, and Mark Martin was there, Rusty Walls, all those guys, but there's a lot of names behind the scene. You don't see John Darby's, the Billy Burkheimers, and Al Shepard's and stuff that are part of NASCAR. Rockford produced a lot of racers, but a lot of behind the scenes people as well.
Yeah, it's almost like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, except for it's the 6 degrees of Rockford Speedway, really.
Yes, actually, it's really true. So, but it'll be every week. There's going to be some nights that are going to be a little bit harder, I think. But if some of those racers, to have a piece of the rock, Richie Bickle, when he finally won short track, he got down and he bit that track, and I'll never forget that. But here's a chance to become a champion at the last champion ever at a historic racetrack. So if I was a racer and thought, whatever, I think I'd be off the fence and putting something together.
Are you guys going to be selling pieces of the asphalt?
We're not that far, but it's amazing how many, back in it's been 26 years ago, we started the Walk of Fame, and we put people's handprints in concrete. I've had many people call me, that's my uncle, that's my dad, are we going to be able to get the concrete? The big scheme of everything, there is a historical part of Rockford Speedway that we're going to keep there on the property, be it part of that, be it part of the tracks. My father's got a couple bricks there from the Indy 500 are in the track, and there's a brick from New Smyrna, so it's Ormond Beach, so it's I could see where people might want a piece of the track, but we're gonna have to see what happens yet. But there will be a chance for everybody to partake in a memorabilia auction or something, I think. So
cool. I like that. And your family has always been very charitable too, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that fold into a charitable type of an event.
Something that's really got nothing to do with the racing world, but there's 8 kids, but my mother was always a very devout Christian woman, and we have 2 other siblings that most people don't know about. One's St. James Church, and one's the Rockford Catholic Diocese. So they're part of us and all that. And we're going to have a thing in about middle of April, or April 21st, actually. My mom bequeathed 18 charities, I believe, a huge amount. We're going to give out almost $500,000 to charities in April. So that's for her. So that's kind of a neat deal.
That is amazing. You know what I never got to do, and I always had it on my list, was to get down and see all of your mom's nativities. Holy smokes. As growing up Catholic, we had a nativity, I think, in every darn room of our house, including the bathroom one year. But I can only imagine what it was like having like 400 plus nativities around your house. That had to have been something.
You always, when you got the phone call, I need help bringing the boxes down. I can't, Mom, I'm going to be in Africa or whatever. But that was always a job. We just had a big sale with all that back right before around Thanksgiving, the black and white bash. And that was kind of hard really to see some of these go, which, the original family one that started it all went to my oldest brother. And I think we would have fought over that one eventually, but Mom said that's his. So, but that was kind of sad to see, but a lot of my sister said it best. She goes, there's a little bit of Jody all over the city of Rockford now. So that's kind of soothing in effect, but it was something to see. She really enjoyed it. And everything she raised from it always went to the Poor Clare nuns. So there you go.
I love that. I love that. They renamed a road down there, the honorary Jack Deery Way. I sure as heck hope that they're planning to keep that even after the track is gone.
I would believe so. And the mayor of Loves Park, Greg Jury, who actually, he did a benefit at the Forest Hills Lodge for many years for his son who passed away from cancer. Dick Buckus and Mike Dick, guys like that came out for it. But he's been a big fan of the Speedway over the years. And I mean, we worked behind the scenes to secure some maybe government funding to keep the track going a little bit longer. I mean, we're at a point there where, our last major thing was in the 90s when we did the grandstands and stuff. We need to do some upkeep on it. And, unfortunately, we're not a tax funded facility. And he did give us some options to see if we could do there. But I forgot where I was going now. But the Jack Deery Way. And I'm sure that's going to stay there. And we went down to the city hall when they announced it, proclaimed it, and voted and everything. And we got a couple photo ops with him, and he goes, "Just so you know, I got you all a sign made, so you don't have to steal any of them."
So he was familiar with your family.
Right, you think we're going to climb a pole and steal a Jack Deery sign? Kind of. So we all have a Jack Deery sign now too.
I love that. Jack, if you had to name maybe a couple of characteristics and qualities maybe that you inherited from your dad, Hugh, and your mom, Jody, which ones would you say you inherited or have from each of them?
Well, I think all of us, all the Deery boys and sister, got part of my father's creativity. It was always a what if probably type of thing more. And, a lot of the things we came up with over the years, trailer races and whatever. Of course, we stole parts from everybody to put it together, but it was always something like that. We never stopped. We saw something, and that actually, I just was telling a friend of ours, when we drove to the South back in the day, when we were all kids, instead of stopping and stuff, my father would say, okay, the first people that see Spanish moss, this, an alligator, you wrote it down, you won the prize. So we were always looking and exploring. And that's what I think we got from my father. My mother, being a good old farm girl from Wisconsin, it's always going to rain and it's always going to be this. So I think maybe we got a little bit of that, oh, this is going to be the worst side of it. So Huey was, we can send a rocket to the moon, and my mom would be, it's going to crash. So we got the good and evil in all of us.
Which makes really good problem solving then, that you're able to look at things from both sides.
It usually does. And, when we get together, and we've got together a lot over the last year with my mom and all this going on, and it's amazing, 8 different opinions, 8 different whatever, and how well we all really jive together. So it's kind of cool.
That is
I'm
cool.
proud. I'm proud of my brothers and sisters. So, but you know, I got to put a plug in here. Lacrosse is so lucky because Chuck Deery is probably one of my heroes because I always liked how Chuck did everything up there. He knew what the word no meant. The rules are the rules, and Chuck's always lived by a certain way. And some of the best ideas I ever stole from him came from there. And, watching the cone rule on NASCAR now.
Right.
There
Right.
we brought that to Rockford, and they were going to boycott it the first night. And once the first guy went, the boycott was over. When I was in Nashville, they hated it. Oh, they were going to burn my house down. By the second race, hey, that's not so bad. So now NASCAR's benefiting from Chuck Deery as far as
Well, I am planning to have some of your other siblings on here as well, because as we know, and we've all been talking, it is the final lap for Rockford Speedway. So I'm trying to kind of pepper in Deary's throughout the season here as we do the podcast. So Chuck is definitely on the list to get on here.
I was surprised to hear the praise for Chuck, because when I told him I had never met you, and he just looked at me and smiled and said, "Jack's the evil one."
He never had a problem using me to death. I mean, I remember he first started up there. We drove up there on, it was like a Sunday night or whatever. Monday morning, we were at the racetrack. We poured a frame out in behind the quarter mile, poured concrete. Before we left that night, we were putting the roof on, which now the concession stand tire shed down there. So, and if you look up there, looking behind a lot of things, you'll see, I always wrote my dog's names in the concrete or whatever. You'll see Moonberry or Black Dog written all over concrete up there, because Chuck would say, "Come up here and bring your tools." And I did a lot. So he owes me, and I still haven't got paid anything.
It is pretty cool how tight you all are. And like all siblings, you can have your tiffs or whatever, but you always work it out, and you always come back to the table ready to break bread together.
And it's, wherever we go to, we send each other little things. I mean, David started in Rockford a couple of years ago for the Night of Thrills. He started doing a stunt, things you should hit with cars, which, sounds stupid, but the fans love it. So I'm driving down the street or something, and I go, "Oh my God, I got to take a picture of this and send it to David." It's something you don't want to hit a car with, but that's it. We all work together. And, I left the racing business and went into the car business with my brother Brad. And even I took a lot of this dealing with the people into that. So it's really, it was a wonderful life. How's that? I feel like
Yeah.
family.
Well, transferable skills and transferable things that you can take into every facet of every career, really. Yeah.
And actually I was actually trying to get the lease at Hawkeye Downs, where we used to do the NASCAR Northern and I was driving back between Rockford and Cedar Rapids, and stopped in Maquoketa and had lunch with Brad. He goes, "Why don't you sell cars?" I go, "What? I can't sell cars." He goes, "You sell sponsorships, you sell this, you do this, it's the same." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll try it for a couple of months." And I stayed 10 years. So, but again, racing got me to that, because trying to deal with the fair board down in Cedar Rapids, whatever, but thank God. Everything turns out good usually.
Right. Yeah, God has a plan for everybody.
That's true.
Didn't you run a dirt track for quite like Weed Sport or something? Didn't you run that for quite a while?
I left Rockford and went to Nashville, and I loved Nashville. And in fact, if anybody it'll be after this podcast, but they're doing their fair board meeting next week, and it's going to be the last chance, hopefully, to get Bristol in there, bring NASCAR back, and let them rebuild the track. So hopefully that happens. But after I left Nashville, I went to New York, and 3 dirt tracks. We ran Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it was asphalt guy coming to a dirt track. There's an education, because I know how to dry an asphalt track after a rain. I didn't do really well with the dirt the first time I learned the hard way, but I still, when I go racing now on my little town in Iowa, we have a dirt track, and I'll sit on the front porch on Saturday night and hear the cars. I go tell my wife, I'm gonna go get a box of popcorn and a beer and sit down and watch the features. And I sit up in the stands and go, don't throw the yellow, don't throw the yellow, let them go, let them go. And then when I get done, I go home. So it's all good. But
Do you
the
enjoy?
dirt racing dirt racing's a whole, asphalt, you pass this much every lap. Dirt racing, you pass 10 cars and you still might be in the same spot. So it's a different kind of thrill, and I like them both.
I was just going to ask you if you had a preference one over the other, but you're equal opportunity enjoyer.
It's just, the twins again last night were the lesson that my dad taught us. The first one was fast. It was a snoozer. The second one, it was still fast, but side by side cars racing. People don't care how fast they're going. They want to see how much racing. And there was a lot more racing. And that's, people go to be excited. They want to, I'm jumping around usually on my chair. That's what it's supposed to be. So to me, at least.
Yeah, that's how it is for me. I just got back from Speed Weeks, and every year I split my time between New Smyrna and Volusia, and the same way at home. I've got Elko Speedway 20 minutes from my front door, and Cedar Lake's 45 minutes. So I split my time all year long between asphalt and dirt tracks.
You just got to have different shoes. That's all it is. Once you get it down, it's great. So
yeah.
So you live in Iowa, but you winter down in Alabama?
Well, we've always gone to Florida. We had a
Okay.
family place in Fort Myers Beach that I was there in October hauling stuff out. And from this day forward, whenever I put a coffee cup in the cupboard, it's going to be upside down, because coffee cups 7 feet in the air full of water after 3 weeks smell.
Oh, yeah.
The house got pretty much trashed. It's still standing, but we gutted it. So we're not going there, but we've always come to Alabama. We just came here longer to share. We really like it here. And we're not in a resort type area. We're in a little island that's kind of backwards, and it's all good.
And it's not part of a witness protection program.
Well, everybody says, don't tell people about this down here. We don't want all you Yankees coming. I understand, but so my oldest brother is here. Actually, I mentioned it to him, so we're coming. So, and now they're already making plans for next year. So we're in Dauphin Island, which is south of Mobile, where the Mardi Gras started. So there's a Mardi Gras parade 5 days a week up here, and so if you're looking for a moon pie or a pair of beads, this is the place to come.
I'm making a note. So what is summer going to look like for you then? Are you going to get to Rockford almost every night that they're running, or what are your plans?
Well, the biggest attraction I have in Rockford is we only have one son, but I have 2 grandkids, and Sawyer and Max, and Sawyer is about as cute as they can be, and Max is going to be, if he was around, if we could keep the track, he would be racing figure eights. But so I get to go back and see them, but I'm thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to be there as much as I can. So
Yeah.
I haven't worked out all the logistics. Maybe I might rent a house or something, or, I would get a trailer, but the next thing you know, David's pulling it out the track and I'm in a trailer race and didn't know it. So
That's hilarious. What would be the one thing that you would hope everybody would remember about Rockford Speedway?
it's fun to have fun, and they remembered being a kid and how much fun they had, and it's all about having fun. It's racers, fans, it doesn't matter. It's come out, watch some races, have some popcorn, enjoy the night, enjoy the weather, have a wonderful time, just have fun. And it's, we're entertained with so much technical stuff and everything now. I mean, this is edge of the seat excitement. You get to live it. And I hope everybody comes out to feel that one more time. We're up in this towers, and I have my college buds come every year, and they go, we don't want to sit in the suite. We want to sit in the stands. Why? We want to feel it. We want to hear it. And that's to live the whole thing, live the experience would be, I hope everybody comes back and says, I remember when I was a kid, and it'll make me feel like a kid again. So
I do remember it when I was a kid. I was born in Belvedere, and Rockford was the very first asphalt track that we went to as a family. So that was where we went for our entertainment. I don't know if you know Steve Rubeck. He and I went to school together for
really,
years.
I'm gonna write
Yeah.
that down. Wait a minute. Okay. He
So
just came up with a great idea. I don't know if you saw it. Paint your original race car,
yeah,
original color. Steve gets it. Let's make this what it is. This is an opportunity to relive our whole life in one season, one glorious season. So let's do it.
I love it too. I saw that idea as well. I was like, that's a damn good idea, Ruby.
You know, it's funny you're talking about Belvedere. Chrysler plant is shutting down, and for many years on Wednesday nights we used to do a Chrysler night at the racetrack, and they take the bleachers over and tons of beer and everything. And
That was us. My dad worked for Chrysler, so
we always laughed. You don't want to buy a car that was built on Thursday, but but it was, again, that's the end of an era. That was a couple thousand people every once a year for that. It was so things change, and this is part of the change, unfortunately.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, the childhood thing, I'm about 5.5 hours away, but I don't remember much from when I was 11 years old, but I do remember my dad. We drove down for a Tuesday night. There was the Artgo All-Star 100, 1978. And I've seen, I think Kevin Ramsell shared the picture recently of an old aerial photo. And that's when we drove up in 1978. We didn't have Google Maps and stuff. My dad was looking at a map, and we're out in the cornfields, and he rolls down the window to listen for race cars. And we found the track, and then that was my first visit there. It was 78, and I've been back several times since. I made sure and made the dirt race and brought my kid down there about 10 years ago so he could experience. So it's always been a great place.
Are we running out of time? I got time for a couple of stories.
We have no time limit, Jack.
I can talk for a long time. Just ask my wife. But All-Star, I got two All-Star stories for you. One of them, of course, was the one on 1984. Was my dad passed away on Saturday morning. We raced Saturday night. We had an All-Star race on Tuesday night. Bobby Allison and Joe Shear side by side for the last 8 laps or what it was. And Bobby Allison had a flat tire, and Joe Shear would catch him in the corners because of the flat tire, and Allison beat him on the stretch. And Bobby Allison finally won that race. I have a photo of all of us kids with Bobby in victory lane, which is probably one of the near and dear moments of our whole life there. And the other one was, it was one of our first trailer races, and we had Artgo All-Star event the next day. And we had, sometimes we were planned and a little bit not very well. Our first trailer race, we had brooms and we didn't have end loaders and stuff. So we had one big dumpster in the middle of the track, and we cleaned all night long. I mean, it's the daylight's coming up, and all of a sudden the dumpster started on fire, and the fire department came out, and so we're going to dump this dumpster. And Tom and I were the ones that were there pretty much at that time, and we're arguing with the fire department. Said, no, over my dead body. We spent all night cleaning this and getting this in there, and they ended up spraying it. We got it out, and they drug it off the track. But it was a great race, pretty much. But it was a hot Sunday day, and we had not slept. And I'm looking, you couldn't tell that there had been a mass destruction of the world famous trail race the night before there, and that was always a feather in our cap. I thought we pulled one off, and kind of by the seat of our pants, because we didn't have the right equipment at that time. But little be said, it was about 6 a.m. fighting with the firemen. That was going to be a long day. But
Wow. That was probably the big spark for all of your problem solving skills right there.
I don't know about that, but it was that was very memorable. But then how the track turned out, and there's going to be nails everywhere and this and that. We swept that track and blew that track. It was probably the cleanest I'd ever been. So, and that was when I was a kid, when we started, we're 10, 12 years old. at 4 o'clock, Huey blew a whistle, and that meant everybody met at the start finish line, and everybody came with a broom. And every Saturday night, we swept that track by hand all the way around. There'd be 10 or 12 of us on the hawkers, whatever, but every Saturday night. So hard work, yeah, we knew what that was. That was the hardest part of all of it, I think.
You guys were like the Von Trapp children of auto racing, really.
The trap part I go with. No, but it was, I mean, that was, again, that was, there was no excuses on my, and plus we wore white pants with uniform,
Right?
striped hats. So you had to keep them clean too, but it was, and that, that was the showman part. I got that from my father. I loved having, everybody needs to be in a uniform, and the flagmans wore tuxedos, and it's show business. We were at the circus. It was not just to look good. It made everybody a step higher, I think, too. They gave that much more to their jobs. So,
boy, your holidays with your family must have been really elevated, given the celebratory and showmanship that went on at the track. Your home life had to have been quite exquisite too.
Well, I did I tell you the part about being Catholic and stuff? We had 6 boys in one room, 2 sets of double beds or bunk beds, and 1 trundle bed. So, the only thing we knew how to do well is my oldest brother Gunnar was a hoarder. We could find his Halloween candy in December and eat it all. We did get together, and Christmases and stuff. There wasn't a lot of presents and stuff, but it was presents that meant a lot to us. We all, and to this day, our stockings, I get to my son, he gets a pair of underwear and toothpaste every year. So that's a tradition in the family.
Well, I would certainly not want to be in that boy's bedroom after the family had chili for supper. I'll say that.
Well, and that was every Friday night, chili and oyster stew. So, and none of us liked oysters, of course, back then. Now we all love them, but it was an interesting thing to live with that many people. And I see my son as an only child. Sometimes think, well, he missed out on some of that, but he got some other stuff. But so it works for everybody. I mean, you got 2 or 3 brothers, don't you?
I have 2 brothers. Yeah.
So,
but my mom's family was huge as well. I mean, Catholic. No, I mean, it's a running joke, right? You have Catholic families, so there's plenty of people to do all the housework and the whatever needs to be done. So yeah, my mom had, I think, 8 siblings.
I don't want to give away all the family treats here, but when we went somewhere, Huey carried a police whistle, and if we were spread out, he would blow the whistle, 2 quick blows on it. The last person to get to him, you came running. You doesn't matter if you were milking the cow or stopping blood, you come running. And the last person that was there always got a kick in the butt, ceremonial type of kick in the butt. But that, we learned that right off the bat too. So it was, I think Chuck got kicked in the butt quite a bit.
I was going to guess that.
Chuck was always somewhere. Where is he? I don't know. But my sister, the queen bee, there she goes. She learned it all and put up with all that she does. She's out there with David now. She does a great job at the racetrack, and she wanted to keep going. And then, she's getting older too, and it's time for. We don't have the next generation to take it over, really. So that's kind of a sad part, but that happens, so.
Well, it happens in all business, really. It's not exclusive to your situation here. Restaurants are notorious for that challenge. Yeah.
But,
well, are there any other stories you'd like to share?
I got so many stories. If I could remember them, the thing is, the mind goes. But I had one I was going to say. I got to make sure I tell it when I have no idea what it is now. But it's been a great ride. I mean, it's sad. It does hurt a little bit, but again, I'm pretty excited about this, and The a lot of people joke to me about the popcorn deal, and I go, "Hey, I'm coming back, and we're having popcorn." And when we rebuilt the concession stands back in '95, when we redid the grandstands, the popcorn stand, when you walk in, it's right there, so everybody sees it. And of course, we pump the air from over the popper right into the where you walk through, and that way everybody smelled it. And I always popcorn sitting in the stands is fun. That's the whole part of having fun. And I just hope people get past this is the end, whatever. Come on, have fun, and let's see what happens.
Make some memories.
Make some memories.
Yeah.
I sure hope you're working the popcorn stand the night I make my return visit down there this year.
If it's a bigger show, I'll probably be in the ticket office, but I will be. I went down there a couple years ago, and I worked every time I came in the popcorn. All those kids are going, whoa. And I said, we're going to get rid of this small. We're going to get rid of this large size. We're going to have this is my own person. This is my popcorn cup. This is a fun cup. This is a family cup. I mean, let's name it what it is. And so it's all, I enjoy that part of it more than
that was one of
I should.
I noticed for the longest time at lacrosse at the popcorn stand, it didn't say popcorn, it said gourmet popcorn. But
Yes.
That's a little bit better than any other popcorn.
Well, when the 45th president came up there, and I said, Chuck, we should be selling popcorn. And he goes, well, I don't know if I got enough, whatever. And I said, man, we should be selling popcorn. He goes, well, you can roll hot dogs. So I cooked hot dogs all afternoon, but it was in fact, I built that stand too, but we should have had popcorn.
Popcorn is kind of that thing that ties everybody together. It really does. If you've had a really great memory at some event, chances are you had popcorn in your hand.
That's, I mean, and of course I'm a judge. I'm buying it to make sure it's good. And I'll tell them if it's not, but even our little Track and McCoken, it's great popcorn. When I was at the car dealership, we had a popcorn machine in the hallway for our customers. I won't tell you who made the popcorn, but you may guess, but it was perfect. And again, it's right. You associate it with having a good time. And it's,
That's one of my, I think you must have been either in Nashville or New York when Greg McCarnes was working at Rockford.
Right. Yep.
Brought my dad down for the spring classic. So probably early 2000s. And he was sitting there eating popcorn, a little chilly out on an April or afternoon. And Greg walks up and he's like, how's the popcorn? And I said, good. He goes, that stuff holds up pretty good over the winter. We pop it and put it in a big garbage bag.
Actually, back when we first started, that was one of your first jobs. After you went from the running the thing up and down from the stands and rolling hot dogs, you went to the popcorn stand. And we would get out there like at noon and start making popcorn because we sold it in little boxes. So we boxed it, and then we figured out that we put it in bags and then dump it into the big thing. I mean, there was a transformation of popcorn things over the year out there. It's amazing how much there is, and it's there's something about it. I can't help it. I love popcorn, and I got popcorn clothes. I got a yellow car. I mean, I am what it is. So
what makes popcorn perfect in your mind? What are the qualities of perfect popcorn?
Butter and salt, man. Butter and salt, and properly popped. I mean, and actually it's the corn. You got to have the right corn, and actually the best corn. I hate to give Nebraska any credit, but the best corn comes from Nebraska, and the best oil to pop it in was coconut oil, which we used for years and years, and that made a difference. And now they put seasoning stuff, but if you the right oil, the right machine, and then a little bit of butter and salt, and it's, I mean,
Magical.
it might not be that healthy, but wow, what a way to go, I say.
Oh, I love it. Well, Jack, you have been a pleasure to have on the Racing Nuggets podcast. I'm so grateful that you agreed to join us.
I wish I had some more stories for you, but I'm probably talked myself out. So, but
Well, maybe we'll circle back around to you.
this has been. I was kind of. I called you, so what are we going to talk about? You said, "Don't worry," and I'm not worried. And this was fun, and it gets to. Actually, I'm excited about the year. Now I'm thinking we're going to be down here another 6 weeks. I'm thinking maybe I should go back earlier and get the stuff going. But
Hopefully,
is it snowing up there?
Not here, but I think it was in Rockford.
Okay, well, it's cold here today. I walked with my dog on the beach. I had to wear my lacrosse sweatshirt, so I'm not ready to go back to cold yet. But
It's still a little cold.
okay, that's if it's actually we got spring going on right now. Things are starting to bloom, so I'll stay for a little bit longer. But I'm ready, and it's whoever listens to us, come on out, say hi to us at the Speedway. Be there one last time. That's what else can you say? Be there one last time or many times, but be there. So
I'm hoping to meet you in person. I've never been to the Bahamas, so this will be my year to take a trip to the Bahamas.
what happens at the Bahamas stays at the Bahamas.
Perfect.
Love it. Well, thank you, Jack.
All right, thanks, guys.